All right, hello, my name is Alexander Christodoulou. Good morning, commissioners. AI data centers generate more harm than good. Each AI data center takes around $15 million to $20 million per megawatt for just the facility structure. To build a fully loaded facility, including NVIDIA chips, which are high-end graphics processing units, it can take up to $30 million to $40 million per megawatt. For an AI-optimized data center, it takes around $1,100 to $3,000 plus per square foot. On average, an AI data center in Florida is around 150,000 square feet, which would cost $165 million for one AI data center. There are 120 AI data centers in Florida. These AI data centers use up a significant amount of water, between 1 and 5 million gallons of water per day. That means per year, they use around 100 million to 1.8 billion gallons of water. This would cause a huge water shortage. A medium-sized data center might consume on the order of 100 million gallons of water a year for cooling. Without water, us humans can't live for more than 5 days. Water is a necessity to us humans. For AI, it is merely a cooling system. These AI data centers utilize hundreds of diesel or gas backup generators, which release harmful air pollutants like nitrogen oxides and particulate matter into surrounding communities. Data centers' continuous operations generate significant heat, necessitating energy-intensive cooling systems to maintain optimal temperatures. Some data centers use water-based cooling systems, which can lead to substantial water consumption. An average Google data center consumes approximately 450,000 gallons per day. This can strain local water resources, especially in areas prone to drought or with limited water supply. That is all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Your next public speaker joins us on Zoom, Diane Powell, and she'll be followed on Zoom by Paulina Dominguez. Diane, you're being prompted to unmute yourself if you'll do so at this time. Diane, I see you've unmuted. You have 3 minutes. Oh, I'm not hearing Diane, but she's unmuted. Diane? All right, let's move on and try Pauline Dominguez. Pauline, we're going to prompt you to unmute yourself if you'll do so at this time. Pauline Dominguez, can you unmute yourself? Well, we tried.
All right, Troy, those were the last two.
Those are the last two.
Okay. All right, well, we tried. We'll move on. Since the last public speakers?
Yes,
So,
yes.
All right, we're gonna move on to, we got a break coming up in 30 minutes for the court reporter.
Yes,
I wonder
sir.
if we can do something
We could take,
quick.
yeah, we could, Troy, how many speakers do we have for 9A and 9B?
20.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
so I'm thinking if we can slide something in the front end, take
We
our
can,
break.
we can
and
take
then
the break a
we'll-
little bit early. If you want to, we can take the 11s, if that, Mr. McLean, bring him up for 11A
Yeah, I
to do
think-
the update on NISA.
I have an idea.
You have an idea?
If it,
Ooh.
yeah, this is the only one I'm gonna have today. Mr. Bosey's in the back. We've had a lot of people talking to us about these data centers, and I had a couple of questions for him with
Okay.
regard to that, if I could bring him to the podium. And by the way, this is totally unrehearsed. He has no clue that this was coming forward.
So you don't know what kind of answer he's gonna give you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Terry, capture all this word for word.
Yes, and make sure you put it in print that I am right.
Speak slowly.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Bosey.
Good morning, Mike Bosey, Plan Zoning Director.
My question, we've heard several speakers speak in opposition of these mega AI, I'm going to call them mega AI data centers. Do we have anything in our land development code that by right would allow one of those?
We do, and just to let the Board of County Commissioners know, this Thursday we have a Planning Commission meeting scheduled, and it's all focused upon land development amendments. One of the issues that we're going to talk to the Planning Commission about was the asking for direction to create regulations for the new version of what data centers in, because the way that our land development code works, it's SIC code based. SIC code based means it brings you back to the year 1987. data processing centers, which are allowed uses in most commercial zoning districts and industrial zoning districts, are a data processing center that is nothing like a hyperscale data center of today's ilk. So we're asking the Planning Commission to direct staff to create regulations for that. Hearing the conversation today, what I wanted to, I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to speak, was there would be, I think, some wise contemplation by the Board of County Commissioners if you were to consider a year-long moratorium for while staff is putting together the bulk of the structure of the amendments to regulate these data centers, and then bring that through the regular process, through your DSAC, through your Planning Commission, and back to the Board of County Commissioners. The state of Florida has granted permission for localities to do just that, recognizing that this is a new commodity from a land use perspective that is much different than what that data processing center from the 80s may have accomplished. So
my question is, in a definition-specific standpoint, there is no definition within our LDC that would allow a mega data center.
Well, there's nothing that prohibits it. We allow data centers. It's a specific SIC code. Because of that generalized term, a current megawatt data center would fit that bill. That's why it would be most appropriate for that moratorium for those mega centers to be better addressed by our LDC with the current concerns in the awareness. One of the things that we had for the Planning Commission was 1,000 Friends of Florida put together about a 10-page brief about things that are of concern for localities to address within the rulemaking process. So they could be pushed forward today based upon that exposure that we have within our commercial zoning district, within our industrial zoning district, that they could go under the guise of a 87 data center, while we know that that's not the case, and that's not the way that they are arranged, that's not the output that they have.
And I don't disagree that bumpers need to be put in place, guardrails, so on and so forth, to protect the public, community, everybody along the line, property rights along the way. But I would contend that there isn't a definition for these mega data centers within our LDC, and anything not defined is specifically prohibited without a request.
And that could be a clarification, because as of now, we have data centers. And you're saying a specific version of a data center would be the newer version is what we're not contemplated. But a good attorney would be able, I think, would be able to make a different argument. If the Board of County Commissioners is providing the clarification that we do not have the current data center allowance that we have in our LDC does not include the current version of the mega data centers, staff will take that as an active zoning in progress, and we can utilize that direction. So we would put a hold on any new facilities, and then we would move forward, crafting language that could give better protection to the process, better protection to the rules in place, that we would suggest to the board, and bring it through the process and bring it back to the Board of County Commissioners if that's the desire of the board.
So did I hear you say that, and this all boils down to timing as well, you have an item in front of the Planning Commission to bring an item back to the board to put these guidelines, or assemble these guidelines and such?
Yes, staff, staff doesn't initiate LDC amendments, we have to rely upon the board or an advisory board. So we're asking the Planning Commission to direct us to create the rules. I think what this conversation allows us to have a little bit of protection with the clarification that the current data center allowance does not extend to the current version, and because of that clarification the board will be provided, we're getting a direction from the board to address the current version of the data centers and bring something back to the board.
Well, it would make sense to me, for simply because you're now moving in a definition that's currently included within our LDC. of a version of 1987. These mega centers were never contemplated then. There are existing data centers already in our community as it sits, and we have ran into multiple times. Jiminy Christmas, we ran into an issue with our LDC for cell towers back in the day that hadn't been touched for over 30 years, and no one ever contemplated when that LDC amendment was written that we would be where we're at now with the utilization of cell phones as a primary utilization of as a necessary primary communication device. So I would think it wouldn't be imprudent for us to even give consideration to the zoning in progress, just to eliminate somebody from watching this and jumping in and filing an application under the old LDC. I would argue, even though there are a lot of good lawyers out there, I would argue that the definition of the SIC code from 1980 something isn't the definition of what's in fact coming forth. I would think we would be able to argue that point and still prohibit anybody from jumping in interimly before the Planning Commission comes back and to this board for those adjustments.
And I don't disagree with that, but I think an action by the board today of declaring, with that statement being declared a zoning in progress, I think that shuts the door completely.
How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, I
Make
think-
a motion to make that year moratorium till I get it
I don't
figured
want to
out.
do the moratorium. I want to do the zoning. The moratorium has an entirely separate move in
Till we get it figured out.
well.
So nobody
and
can jump in there
The
and,
zoning in progress does in fact just that without implementation of that moratorium. I'd rather, and I'll rely upon my colleague down on the end who's infected
Well, I know
with that.
Commissioner Saunders still wants to speak. Commissioner Hall and LaCastra is lit up, so let's hear everybody.
I just had a couple quick questions. Right now, the data centers in the old code, basically, they're permitted by right in commercial districts and in industrial.
Correct.
And we don't have, I'm assuming we don't have any huge areas that are vacant land that are commercial and industrial. So the fear of having one of these just pop up is probably not likely. However, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and impose the 1 year. I don't care if you call it a moratorium or
Zoning in progress.
Yeah.
But there's a process we have to go through, and we're here all summer. So why don't we just start that process and have the county attorney come back to us at our next meeting with the proper wording of what we would be doing to prohibit the new type of data centers, the mega data centers, anywhere in the county without coming back to this board, obviously, for whatever changes would be necessary. So we won't have to worry about someone popping up tomorrow with an application.
Commissioner LaCastra.
Thank you, Chairman. No, I just wanted Mr. Boza to go on the record and confirm we don't have any of the mega data centers being requested by anybody. I just want to make sure the public sort of knows that, because somebody that might just be watching this for the first time might hear the speakers and think that we're about to consider 5 of them that come to Collier County. Is there anything on the books? Any requests that we're unaware of that are very deep in the county staff that if we did nothing right now would be coming to us and at any time?
We have not been approached by any applicant for a request for a large scale, hyperscale data center.
Yeah.
Not at this time.
Commissioner McDaniel. once
Sometimes
again.
you skip me, so I
No,
saw
I
you,
saw you. I hit
I
the
saw you
button.
kick my light off, so I just wanted to make
I
sure.
don't want you talking anymore.
Commissioner Saunders, just for reference, we are approving large-scale developments in eastern Collier County that do have requisites of heavy industrial and commercial zoning capacities that could necessarily be construed in these rural villages and towns that we're approving in the east. So I think it's a play on words, but I would rather I'm not in opposition of the moratorium, but I would certainly think more prudent for us to give direction for it to be a zoning in progress, which will allow for both sides to come to us and talk to us with regard to the data and information that we require in order to make the decisions.
What I was suggesting is we have an attorney sitting here, he can tell us what's the best way to go.
I don't think the moratorium is the best way to go. I agree with Commissioner McDaniel.
All right,
Write that down.
It happens.
Then let's,
All right, well,
let's-
my whole idea is, listen, technology changes. You know, this world's not stagnant, it's fluid. I mean, we have a statute that's out there from the 1980s that, you know, and nobody ever thought this is what was coming in the future. And you have to prepare for these things, and we have to revisit certain things, and I think that we need to do something to pump the brakes on it, to get ahead of it, because a data center's data center, and if I don't want to have to go through that, you know, the process, and, you know, I'd rather have something that we can have control over what kind of data centers come to Collier County. So, yeah, I would definitely would make a motion here. I guess somebody already made a motion for moratorium, or,
No,
but whatever language that we need for the county attorney to write up to make sure that we have at least a good year worth of eyes on this subject, to make sure we can have the proper language in our own ordinance, so we can.
If I may, I'd
move
like to work
forward.
with Mr. Bosey and come back with an executive summary.
Okay.
At your next meeting, I think the board could take substantial action if it chooses. In the interim period, though, there's no harm with the zoning in progress.
Okay.
We've already instructed staff to come back with changes.
I'll move that.
All right. But we'll still have a hearing on it, though, correct?
It'll be a public hearing.
Public hearing on it. Okay. Because I mean, other than all the important things people have talked about, I'm still concerned. People realize that Collier County is a very small postage stamp of land left. I mean, you know, our county has 1.1 million acres of preserved property in it, and about 180,000 left that we can actually live on as human beings. So these things sound like they take up a lot of space, a lot of energy, a lot of resources that, you know, our future children should have the right to be, you know, have somewhere to live out east somewhere, not a giant data center.